Hey guys, EBPMAN here. Now in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at ALLPOWERS portable generator solutions. These are solar generators. They're going to power all of your electronics. But today, we're going to talk about running a small business using the ALLPOWER solution. Matter of fact, we have 3 ALLPOWER generators that we have been testing for quite some time, and we have the latest generation of their generator. Here we have the 3500, which is one of the first generators that we tested from ALLPOWERS. Now, we also have their brand new one, which is right here. This guy over here is the 2500. That generator packs a lot of power, and we're going to talk about how you could use this to run a small business, especially if you're going to be doing on-site laser engraving, either with a fiber laser or a laser like the one we have here, which is the Xtool F1 laser engraver. We're going to talk about the features, we're going to talk about how well these work, how you can solar recharge them, and we're also going to look at how it can be used, again, if you are, let's say, in a farmer's market or a flea market or some other market, and you're looking to run your lasers and do it in a very safe, self-contained way, you'll want to watch this video. Let's check it out. Now, the biggest question that I get anytime you're considering a generator, any type of battery backup solution, or in this case, something that you can use to run a small business is, what is the right size generator that I should get? Because let's face it, you have generators that are of different sizes and different capacities, and they could be really confusing. So today we're really going to focus on how you can size, and then also we'll see how this works with a laser. And we're going to see it running both with the Xtool F1 laser engraver, and we're also going to see this running a fiber laser in 2 different areas. But the biggest tool that you'll need to get in order to understand how to calculate or understand how much your power is getting one of these guys right here. Now, what this is going to do is when you have your electronic device connected to this port and have this connected to the wall, it's going to tell you how many watt hours or how many watts it's consuming. For example, on its own, right now it's not doing anything. All it's doing is it's plugged in. As it's plugged in, the Xtool F1 laser engraver, you'll notice here, is consuming 13 watts of power. I can tell you that when this is running, plus the air purifier, you're going to be using around 100 watts of power. If you have a laptop, plus the F1, plus the actual air purifier, which we don't want if you're in even in your home or if you're in a marketplace, you're looking at around 130 watts of power. So the question is, how long will these last? Now the big question is, how long will the Xtool F1 laser engraver run with a smoke eater and a laptop? I have some numbers for you. So first of all, if you're looking at the R600, this is the smaller unit, that has 299 watt hours, you're looking at 2.27 hours of usage. Now keep in mind, this is non-stop. This is that the laser's going for 2 hours straight. That's not reality, right? Most of us are going to be running this 15, 20 minutes, in a given hour. So it's going to extend the battery life even further than that. Now, if you're running it non-stop and you're looking at the 2500, this guy right here, this is 2016 watt hours. That's going to give you 15 hours and 27 minutes worth of usage. 15 hours and 27 minutes. Now, that is, again, non-stop. If you were looking at the 3500 here, and this is 31, that's 3,168 watt hours, you're going to be able to run it for 24 hours, non-stop. That is that little guy right there, running, everything running, sucking power at the same time. Again, truly not reality. So if you think about how many times or how many minutes you're running it in a given hour, that's going to extend it even further. So both of these units are going to be incredibly powerful. The key thing for you to remember is that once you buy one of these, just in general, while these are expandable, many units are not. So you have to make sure that you have thought about what type of power you're going to use. And let's face it, you may be powering your F1, you may be powering your laptop and your smoke eater, but some of us will have lights. Some of us will maybe have a fan. Some of us will want to run maybe even, let's say, a heater, depending on what time of the year it is and where you are in the world. So there's a lot of things that you need to consider. I tend to buy larger, get a higher wattage than I typically need. So if I need 500, I'll get 800. If I need 800, I'll get 1,000. I want to go a little bit further so that I can grow into the product that I have, because this is an investment. The cool thing about it, especially with the ALLPOWERS line, is that they're expandable. So you can start out with something like this and then double it up. Start with something like this and double it up. And just think about this. I would prefer to have my own power source in any of these events than power somewhere else where I don't know what kind of surge they have. I don't know what kind of surge protection they have. and have an independent power source. Even if they provide power and I plug this into their power source, this will protect me from any damage. That's just me. Now, this is a really powerful generator, and it is small and compacted size. A couple features that we're talking about here. First of all, you have 2,016 watt hours of power. And the watt hours really is important because as you're using a generator or a product like this or any other product, it's going to basically help you understand how long you'll be able to run a product. And again, we're going to talk about that in a couple seconds. Now, this is a 2,500 watt pure sine wave inverter with a 4,000 watt peak. Now, pretty much what this means is that the power coming out of this unit is going to be super clean. Now, this is really important because I've seen stories on Facebook, Instagram, I've gotten pings on this too, where someone has taken an electronic device and in a flea market or marketplace, they've plugged it in and then it stops working because they're using a general power solution. You don't know the cord that's plugged into it, you don't know what else is plugged into it, and when we run our electronics, we take our own power because we want to know what we're plugging into. So this is going to give you super duper clean power. Now you're going to have a maximum of 2,500 watt dual input. So basically you can charge this guy really fast, pretty much in an hour. And because it's dual input, you're going to be able to charge this plugged in, and if you have a solar, you'll be able to do it as well. So it's AC and solar at the same time with a maximum of 1,000 watts. So that means this is going to be able to charge at a rate of 1,000 watts. And if you do that, this thing's going to charge super fast. So pretty much you have 5 different ways that you can charge these units. You can either use AC, you can do solar, and one of the cool things about this too is you could even plug this into your car. So if you plug it into your cigarette lighter, you can charge it as well. So there's all these different ways that you can do it. Now, each one of these that you see right here serve as something that's called an UPS. That's an uninterrupted power supply. That means if power were to, let's say you have something plugged into this and you have this connected to something else, like the electrical outlet, which is some of the things that we do, and there's a power disruption where the power goes, you know how your TV, your refrigerator, any kind of electronic just powers down. Well, because this has an UPS feature, as soon as the power goes, it switches to the generator power, and it does that within milliseconds. We're talking about 15 milliseconds for that to happen. Now, the batteries on these are super safe. No fire issues, no explosion issues, even if they get punctured. You know, these are Life PoE4 batteries. And the cool thing about this is that they can be charged 3,500 times over that amount. And that's a lifetime. That is years and years of really recharging this battery. Now, one of the things that I'll just highlight, as you talk about the actual batteries themselves, it's really important to size the battery for the right generator because once you get a battery, typically you can't upgrade it, right? Once you get the size that you want, you're pretty much stuck with that size unless you buy a new one. So that's why we're going to talk about the type of battery that you'll need. Now, the cool thing about both of these products from ALLPOWERS is that they have an exception. They can be doubled. You can actually get an expansion unit that's going to increase the power of both of these products, and we'll talk about that product in a couple seconds, but you can expand it to a crazy amount of power. We're talking about 12,000 watts. That is absolutely insane because you can actually get a second unit and put it right on top of it, and that's going to double your power. So that's super cool. So lots of power, uninterrupted power supply, can be charged over 3,500 times and has enough power to spare to not only run a laser like this or a fiber laser or any other type of laser, but it could also run the lights, a heater, a fan. There's all these different electronics that you may want to run in a trade show. Now let's talk about this guy here. This is the 3500. This is one of the first ones that we reviewed from ALLPOWERS. This is a big boy. This guy right here is going to have 3,500 watt hours. So that's significant. This is going to be able to, again, be modular, so you can actually stack this up. It also then has a massive amount of charging capacity. All these features, I'm just going to read off all these features because they're pretty impressive. So you have dual charging up to 4,000 watts, right? Which is much more than that one can, which means that you're going to be able to charge this in an hour. You basically have EV charging as well, so you can charge your car with this. That's something that I think that's pretty cool. And then you have all the ports that we've been talking about. Now it has the same thing, pure sine, clean energy. So it's not going to damage your electronics and you're not going to get any noise from being connected to this. The other thing that you have is you also have that UPS feature that we were talking about. That means that uninterrupted power 15 milliseconds. The event that power basically is gone, this thing will kick in automatically. It will detect it within 15 milliseconds and keep your electronics going. Literally, I have unplugged it, having a device like this, another device running, and I've seen no stop whatsoever because it's that fast. Now, one of the things that you'll also see here on the back, this is a solar panel, and that's a solar panel that can be paired with each one of these units, which means that if you are out for days, you can actually, and you're in the outdoors, you can actually have that solar panel connected to either one of these generators, and you're going to get around 400 watts of power charging. So as you're using it, you're going to be putting power back. Now, remember, we talked about that this guy here is typically going to consume about 130 watts. So it's going to take out 130 watts, and the solar panel is going to be putting in 400 watts. Now, think about that for a second. This will never drain your battery because this is going to be powering or supplying more power than this is consuming. Now let's go over all of the power options that you have with the R2500. So first of all, you have two USB-C ports here. And you'll notice that these USB-C ports are 100 watts, right? So that's going to give you great power, and it's going to support like the fast charging that you have for the Samsung phones. It's going to charge your iPhone at the fastest possible rate. It's going to charge all of your electronics at the fastest possible rate without requiring a power brick. Now over here, you'll notice that we have USB-A ports, and you have USB-A ports at both 18 watts and 12 watts. So that's going to give you some good power also going out. So if you want to have something powered or you want to charge, you'll be able to do that as well. And this area right here can be powered easily by pressing this button. You can turn this on or off, and you'll see that the intelligent display is going to tell you everything that's going on. Now, you have other power options too. So on this side, you have several 12-volt options, right? So you have basically DC input, or DC output actually. So here you have your cigarette lighter out, and then you have a 12-volt out here as well. That's going to allow you to connect. If you have these type of devices or this need, you'll be able to do this here. And again, this is separately powered. All you do is you push this button. Once it turns on, it's going to indicate here that it's enabled, and then it's going to supply power to any of the devices that you have there. Now, the bottom area here is literally where all the power is, because this is going to be your AC power. And these are 20 amp options here. And you have standard electrical connections, right? You can see them right there. And you can see this over here. And you can see that I'm actually connected to this one over here. Now, this is a big boy, right? I call it the big boy because this is going to be for RV connection. So if you're thinking about powering an RV or something significant like this, this is the area that you'd use for that. Now, in addition to being able to control all your power options by just tapping a button on the screen, it does have this app. And this app that you see right here has a lot of flexibility. So literally, if I push this button right here, I'll do it right there, make sure I'm touching the screen. It turns off immediately, and let's watch that. I'll put it a little bit over here so you can see that at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and power this up. You can see it's instantaneous. You also then have the ability to turn off and on the power, and you'll notice that the F1 turned off. I'm going to power it up again, and then in a second, that's going to power up, so you can see how fast that is. And this is going to give you a lot of information. It's going to basically tell you how much power you have, so you can see right here, 91%, 92 hours of power, 3 days, right, and 20 hours, and how much is being output. See how it says the output is 16 watts? It jumped up from 13 to 16 because it was doing the power up sequence on this laser. So straightforward, and you can see how that got all your information there. Now, you also can update the firmware. This is a smart app. You can turn this thing on or off. You can connect via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So first of all, one of the things that we'll highlight is that right now the consumption is around 21 watts, 22 watts. And if we come over to the app, you'll notice that it's saying the same thing, that it's about 22 watts. What we're going to be doing is engraving this image that you see right here on that part that we have right there. So all we're going to do is hit start, and we're going to see the laser engraving commence. We're going to watch our power both on the app as well as on the actual device, and you see how everything works. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so power consumption went up to about 47 watts. If we power up the screen a little bit, you can see that it's right there as well, 47 watts. And you can see that the engraving is taking place. This is a super fast engraver, so you got to keep your eye on this because it's engraving pretty fast. And we'll open it up as soon as it's done. It's almost done, and we'll see how many seconds it took. And it is done. It is complete. Just seconds, right? So now this is the engraved object that we did. Right? Power consumption has gone down. And here you can see what we engraved. That was pretty quick. So again, no effort whatsoever being able to take the load from these two objects. And if you add, again, the air purifier, you're really looking at about 130 watts total. Now the panel that we have here has the capacity to generate up to 400 watts of power. I do have the generator sitting right behind the panel. And the time of day right now, the sun is starting to set, and it's not really giving me, because of the trees that we have behind me, and you can see some shadows, giving me the ultimate or optimal, I would say, direct sun. But we're still getting some decent power. I'm seeing a little bit over 100 watts of power coming in, and I'll show you with the app in a second what we're seeing there. And that's going to be great because it will bring this battery, it will continue to charge the battery. So as we take a look right here, you'll notice, and we'll get this in focus for everybody, you'll see 100 watts. So it's bringing in 100 watts from the sun coming in. And again, that's going to be something that will nicely top off this battery. It's going to take a little bit longer, obviously, because it's not 800 watts or maxing out as it could. But if you think about yourself being out and about and needing to be able to charge your, again, your solar panels or charge your generator, this is definitely one way to do it. Let's take a look at the other side. Now from the back of the panels, there's actually little legs that are holding the panel up, and they actually come out. They're cloth. Now on the back of each panel, you do have a kick-out stand or leg that comes out that allows you to position them in the best angle possible to get the maximum output or input from the sun coming into the generator. You'll notice the cabling coming on the side there connects to the actual panel themselves. Everything is integrated. The only thing that you need to supply is the included cables that connect to the back of your generator. Now we're running a total different laser. This is the MonPort 30-watt fiber laser. This is a different technology. These things are really fast. And what you'll notice over here is that there's around 81 watts being consumed of power. Again, even though it's not running, I do have kind of like a little pattern indicator there that's telling me what's going on. But really, the primary laser hasn't really kicked off. But this unit right here is on, and it does take up some power. So we're going to run this, and we're going to see how much power is used. And the one thing is that this is going to go really fast. The laser does run really fast. So we're going to be looking for an image to show up right there. We're going to hit start. And you'll see over here, I'll try to focus on it for a second. You can see that there's an image coming up right there. And you see it's engraving. Now if we come over here, and we'll go ahead and pan a little bit over to the generator, you'll notice that it's now consuming 116 watts. 116 watts, and you can see how the engraver is just going to town and engraving, right? 116 watts, and now it's done. That's how fast it goes, and that's how powerful this generator is. So guys, that wraps up our review. See you in the next video.